We are back with another Sammy Town Hall. Yoo-hoo! Take a little departure from my usual routine, which is that I like to do my scanner from this time. A few hours of scanner always makes my day brighter. Jeez, what a shit show. I'm telling you, it's a fucking shit show on that scanner, ladies and gentlemen. Ugh, I don't know how you guys do it. And all the shit you put up with, they don't give you fucking nothing extra. Nothing. What a fucking shithole that place can be. I know you got a job that's middle class living and you're not in the ditch. But really, man, they really... You know, the way Trimet doles out money for all that capital projects crap, you think they could come up with a little bonus for you guys, but nope. Nope, we're not going to do that. Sorry. You're lucky you're getting a 2% cost of living increase, even though the statistics today, the official statistics, are 6% inflation. And you know those are always underestimated significantly. So you're actually losing money working at Trimet. But yes, you're not in the ditch. Always remember, it can be worse. And it can always be worse. And that's what keeps people going in their shit job, because the thought of it can be worse is real. All right, let's listen to Sammy. Okay, wait a minute. So there's a lot of things happening today, I think. I think today they're going to announce the winner. The winner of the hit cheerleader. Is it going to be Sammy or two women? I told you it was going to be this political correct shit that they're like infatuated with. It's women and minorities. Okay, I've got nothing against women and minorities. Don't start telling me I'm a Trumper or a Republican, because I'm not. But let's, this gets overboard. Whatever happened to the idea of the best qualified? Whatever happened to that? I mean, I don't care who they are. I don't care what race they are. I want somebody that does the job, and it's not some hack. And all we ever get is hacks. That's what we get. Hack after hack after hack. I'm not just talking about Trimet. I'm talking about every level of government. I'm in Massachusetts now. It's the same shit here. And as it is there. It's the same shit everywhere. You have a government whose purpose is crime for the people that are benefiting from the government.
Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me for another town hall. Today we are continuing our cultural education conversation. He
is kind of cute, isn't he? I mean, he's likable, He's just this cute little likable guy.
I'm going to be joined this morning by Gloria Lee, who is the Executive Director for the Giving Tree Northwest. Gloria will walk us through how Chinese people contributed to the fabric of Oregon, and she will also provide us with a look at present-day Chinese and Chinese Americans in Oregon. This is a 90-minute town hall meeting. Gloria will speak with us first. Then we'll take some questions from Gloria, and then let her get on with her day at 11 a.m. I'll provide some updates. Sarah Ewing will provide the most current COVID information. Kim Sewell will give us a general manager hiring update. And then we'll take any Trimet specific questions between 11 and 11:30. So I want to turn to Gloria. Just thank you so much for making the time to join us today. And let me just start off by saying how proud we were to be able to assist to your residents by transporting them to vaccine appointments with our lift vehicles.
All right.
I just want to thank Marco and Eileen and the entire lift team for your commitment to our mission. Gloria, you and your organization are just doing some amazing work, and we are so happy to play a part in keeping our community safe and healthy. I hope that, as you start your presentation, that you really could take a moment and share a little bit about yourself and the Giving Tree Northwest before you begin this morning. So with that, Gloria, I just want to say thank you. Love that we're partners with you. And I'm going to just turn the floor over to you. So thank you. And thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Sam. Good morning to everyone out there. Thank you for this opportunity to say a little bit about my professional career as well as my personal background. So I am going to be the retiring executive director of the Giving Tree. We provide professional resident services to low-income subsidized affordable housing in primarily Multnomah County. And what resident services is, it's very invisible, but think of going to a hotel and finding the concierge and asking for help. That is what resident services in affordable housing looks like. Our residents come to us with all kinds of questions. Where can I get my dog's hair cut? You know, I need to go to the dentist. Can you help me find my ID card? I've just gotten a housing violation. What do I need to do? I can't pay my rent. So things go on. And like Trimet, we this year have pivoted very hard, and we are an Oregon Health Authority contractor for COVID-19 response. And I'm just going to say this right now because I still have funds left until the end of June for COVID positive cases. COVID-19! So you can self-refer or you will be referred from Multnomah County Health Department, but I do have those funds, and it is gloria@thegivingtreenw.org.
Never heard of them.
Getting the word out has been difficult. There's been a lot of barriers to that. So just wanted to let everybody know that opportunity is there. Okay, a little bit, before I forget, since I am retiring, the Giving Tree name is going to go away, and we are going to merge with the Hollywood Senior Center that many of you know, because the Hollywood Senior Center has been around for since 1973, and together we are rebranding ourselves.
Rebranding!
We are going to be the Community for Positive Aging. The Community for Positive Aging at the Hollywood Senior Center, the Community for Positive Aging with Enhanced Resident Services, and the Community for Positive Aging with the Asian Pantry Program. So very exciting to do this. It's a big change. You people are the first to know because press releases haven't gone out yet. New logos haven't gone out. Okay, a minute about myself. So I am what is called an ABC. That's an American-born Chinese. I was born in 1950 in Arlington, Virginia. So therefore, I was part of the melting pot generation, the generation where all immigrants needed to leave their countries behind, leave their cultures behind, leave their food behind, leave all their customs and become Americanized to the European tradition. So that's the way I grew up. So, you know, although I didn't speak English until I was in first grade, I've lost all my Chinese.
You don't even remember any, huh?
And unfortunately, I can't read or write, but what I do remember with fondness is the culture and the food. So to that extent, the
food, Steve Fung, the food. That's a guy that knows food, Steve Fung. Remember him? He was a Trimet driver along with me back in the old days. I guess it is a long time for him. Wait a minute. He left after. I forgot. Did he leave first or did I leave first? I forgot. Who knows?
I am a board member of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, which is an organization that we just celebrated in Portland, our 100th anniversary.
I don't care about this. I'm sorry.
Around here, but so this is a farming area, and it's close to Hong Kong. It's called the.
You don't want to watch this? You can on Trinet. I mean, I like Chinese history and all that, but this is not what I'm here for. Trimet, okay? I'm here for Trimet. No disrespect to this. I don't want a lesson in Chinese history or anything right now. I want
Pearl River Delta Railroad.
Yeah.
If you expand it and look at it, you're not going to find Chinese in the picture. And that is because when the railroad was completed on May 10th of 1869, and Leland Stanford University was a gentleman that drove the Golden Spike in Pomeroy, Utah.
Oh, God.
Chinese were excluded from the celebration.
Of course it was excluded. Of course, it's America. White Christian America. Bring back Trump. Of course they were excluded.
something happened much later. For the Central Pacific route, which was the route coming to the west from the east, eventually Chinese civic organizations were able to retrieve about 1,200 bodies, Chinese bodies along the route that had died due to disease, due to accidents, due to explosions, and they were sent home to China for burial. No names are recorded, but at least that did happen. Of course, many people besides Chinese probably perished building the railroad, but a significant number were Chinese laborers because of the type of tunneling and jobs that they were doing.
Yeah, sure.
So what happens 100 years later? Next slide. 100 years later, there was a grand celebration.
This is kind of interesting because it's rails and trains.
Of the Transcontinental Railroad, and there was one descendant of the Chinese workers at this 100th celebration.
They left one Chinese person. John Volpe?
The woman involved later.
Her name John Volpe. That was the governor of Massachusetts at one time.
Her great-grandfather had helped build the railroad, and her mother was still alive, and her mother obviously was a descendant of this Chinese laborer, and she went to the ceremony in Utah.
Wow.
The ceremony was a bitter disappointment because at the last minute, when the president of the Chinese Historical Society was scheduled to speak, in fact, he had a plaque with him to present, he was cut off the speaker's list.
Of course! And then, America!
Transportation Secretary at that time was John Volpe, and he also failed to mention the contribution of the Chinese workers.
Of course.
No explanation was ever given during the celebration why the agenda was altered, but I think it was because there was a last-minute appearance from the Western movie star John Wayne, and they really wanted to get John Wayne up on the stage.
Yeah, of course.
So they just started cutting the agenda. We don't know that, but it was it was a slap in the face to the Chinese that had contributed so hard to the railroad. So then finally, 150 years later, next slide, 150 years later, finally, here you see many Chinese faces celebrating the 150th anniversary of the railroad. And that was due to the work of Miss Yu 50 years earlier, and also a Utah Chinese American that was, I think her name was Karen Kwan, that was elected to the Utah legislature. Because Asian Americans are often thought of as the perpetual foreigner, this really felt good to be able to celebrate the contribution of Chinese immigrants in the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. Miss Yu said during the celebration, "I feel that our biggest contribution would be for social justice and to define what being an American is. And we feel a lot of pride that we contributed to building this great transportation system, the Transcontinental Railroad in America."
And they let it fall apart.
So that was final recognition 150 years later. I'm going to segue into another little interesting field trip here to John Day. Next slide. So a lot of this was happening at the same time, and a lot of this was happening, frankly, during the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882.
The Chinese, Steve Fung, the Chinese, this country is so fucked up, they passed a law. You can't, I mean, that's how fucking racist shithole this country is. The Chinese Exclusion. What a fucked up country this is. It's all coming back to haunt us now.
But while the railroad was being built, there was a thriving business that was founded in John Day by Doc Hay and Lung On. They started the business in 1871, and they purchased this property that you're looking at in 1888. Amazingly, they formed a really successful alliance against a backdrop of anti-Chinese violence in the region.
I can imagine. 1871?
Because when the Chinese Exclusion Act was passed in the period of when they had their business, Chinese workers were often expelled from different places, were discriminated against. Given what was happening during that time, the survival and the longevity of Kamwachong, which is now a museum, is amazing. And I think it was the charismatic partnership of these two men and the thought and care that they contributed to the community, both Chinese and Americans. In Eastern Oregon, this was the only mercantile, doctor's office, and store. So they managed to bring the community together, establish a great reputation, and did things that Western doctors could not do. So during, I think, the Spanish flu period, not one of Doc Hay's patients died. So he got quite a reputation, and Americans, white Americans, and Chinese, and everyone started coming to him for medicine and for healing. Next slide.
Oh, wait a minute. The Chinese Exclusion Act, this is interesting. It was effective May 6, 1882, and it barred all Chinese from coming to the land of the free. You can't come here if you're Chinese. And it was repealed in 1943, which allowed 105 Chinese to enter per year. Jesus Christ, what a fucking ridiculous country this is.
I do hope many of you take the opportunity not to go to John Day, which is a really great field trip. And as Oregon begins to open up again and opportunities to visit cultural destinations happen, I really encourage you to visit John Day. This was in 2005, I believe. This museum was named a National Historic Landmark. Friends of Kamwachong, and at that time, Ted Kulingoski's wife, Mary Obis, started a campaign to refurbish the museum. And I think when they opened the museum, which had been shuttered, they found like 500 bottles of original herbs and concoctions that Doc Hay used. More than that, they found, and I don't know the quantity, but they found a significant number of checks that people made out to Doc Hay for services that he never cashed. And it was just, he was just quite an amazing man.
All right, moving along.
Again and renewed again.
Okay, here's the
So what happened eventually was there was less
Chinese
coming into the country. It was very common to see posters like this that were all over.
Chinese Exclusion Act was the first and remains the only law to have been implemented to prevent all members of a specific ethnic or national group from immigrating to the land of the fucking free.
Town. And additionally, there's a little tidbit there. There was the inability of European Americans to recognize those who were Japanese and those who were Chinese. So when the war...
Now this anti-China hysteria that's going on currently is kind of a throwback to this. The Chinese are coming. Oh my God, they're going to take us over.
Happened. The Chinese actually had to wear a button to school, big button that said, "I am Chinese," so that they would not get sent to an internment camp, which the Japanese were relocated, as we all know, to Portland Expo Center and then eventually to other camps in other states.
Move them out.
I have an 87-year-old friend who's a Portland Chinese American elder who tells the story that when she was a little girl, she was going to school, she forgot her button, and someone grabbed her and tossed all her books into a trash can, and she was petrified, and she ran home crying because they thought she was Japanese when she was Chinese. So there's little stories like that that are fun and that are great to get a sense of what the history was like and what the Chinese and Chinese Americans lived through during the long, long decades of Chinese exclusion.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this country has always been racist. It's still racist, and it will always be racist. It looks that's the way it is here.
Chinatown to the new Chinatown, Japantown, north of Burnside.
Chinese massacre.
10 years later, due to the Exclusion Act, the population started to decline because China.
Okay, I don't have time.
I have not been there. I would
keep going
down there, and I did go on the tour. It's very interesting.
All right, come on, move it.
Politicians and the governors and the white community of Portland annually into the United States, along with the being able to bring wives and children. If you were an American-born Chinese or you had your citizenship papers, you were allowed to bring your family from China. So this was a period where a lot of the Chinese community looked.
That's interesting.
In Congress back in Washington, D.C., the Chinese American Citizens Alliance was able to get a congressional gold medal for these Chinese veterans. As we were starting to do the celebrations across the country, the pandemic hit. So sadly, these gold medals are being awarded, but they're probably to the families and descendants of the World War II veterans, most of them in their 90s. Two story, let me tell you about two people that's kind of interesting that received the Congressional Gold Medal. You can go to a site, if you look up Congressional Gold Medal, there's a site that gives the stories of the veterans. You may have some friends in other states that have friends.
All right, moving along, I'm sorry.
Moving into a garden that had been built through a lot of private enterprise, but also governmental city of Portland.
Okay, that's very nice, thank you.
Where 1,131 Chinese were buried, along with about 200 people from the Oregon hospital, the asylum hospital, that were resources. They're taking some programs.
All right, moving along.
So there are different places. Washington County Hong Kong Cafe is a great.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, very good.
Okay, so what a great job there. Just great information as Gloria provides.
Boy, Sammy.
I'll start here. Want to just start with giving you some agency updates.
Here we go.
As we move here. So
this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm here. No disrespect to the other people, but I want to hear this. I am a Trimet groupie. I want to know what's going on in Trimet world.
I'll start here. So I want to begin the update with some great news about our operator who was struck by a stray bullet. He has undergone surgery and he's doing well. He remains in great spirits. I know Kathy Whitman and her team, our management team, talks to him very frequently. He's getting a bit restless right now, and he's ready to get out and about again. We continue to talk with him and wish him well. So just wanted to give you an update that he's doing well. Another one I want to just give you a quick update is that please keep Robert Romo and his family in your thoughts and prayers with his situation, his loss of his brother, and just want to continue to keep that in front of all of us. Last week, our MOW employees worked nonstop to repair the extensive damage to our overhead
All right, let's hear what caused that. Let's hear an in-depth analysis of that. We want to know.
Catenary system near Sunset Transit Center. We had more than 1,500 feet of wire that had to be replaced, and we also had to repair 9 poles and other catenary equipment. Our blue and red line service was disrupted from Tuesday afternoon until Friday afternoon of last week. We are currently still investigating the cause, and
they don't know the cause.
I want to stop in a.
They don't know the cause. Do you believe them? I don't believe them. Sorry. You're trying to tell me you don't know the cause. Well, I don't believe you. Sorry.
Acknowledge the tremendous teamwork that took place there. We started up with a virtual EOC that stood up quickly, Emergency Operations Center. And then the priority was placed on getting riders off of all 3 trains that was stopped off the platforms.
Yeah, we're a mess.
While keeping riders.
That was a mess. You can hear the calls are on my blog.
Moving around the disruption. And there was many people, that was out there on the scene making that happen. Our field operations staff worked with emergency responders to get water to those on board. The incident train, the train had no power, so there was no air conditioning on the unusual hot spring day that we had also. Operator on the train itself and all of our off-duty employees that were on the train, they attempted to keep riders calm and on board until it could be deemed safe for them to really exit the train. There were so many people that came together to help our riders directly and indirectly impacted, as well as co-workers. I am so proud. I can't tell you guys enough on how proud I am and grateful I am for all of you. Thank you for all what you did that day and the dedication that you showed on doing a great job. And this is every day at Trimet here. And I just want to say well done to all of you that were involved in that situation.
Right, everything went great. You all did great. Nothing happened.
On Friday, June 4th,
we'll just move right on here.
About a dozen employees represented Trimet in a virtual parade, Pride Parade. And our participants got to ride on a bus featuring a new design showcasing 9 local leaders who helped to advance LGBTQ plus rights in Oregon and beyond. It will be part of a virtual parade streamed online on June 20th at 11 a.m. Again, I'm pleased that Trimet was able to participate.
How do you have a virtual
even
parade?
If it wasn't normal live parade with hundreds of employees and thousands of onlookers. I can remember my first year here. I was downtown and we had the buses and everything else in the parade. It was just absolutely wonderful. But what I want to say to all of you is thank you for your representation of Trimet during this time. Moving on to the next item, all of our non-represented employees, please, we need you to complete the Microaggression 101 class by July 1st, 2021. Emails have been sent out to all of our leadership teams, encouraging employees to sign up. There are 4 more classes available after today, June 17th, June 24th.
All right, stop the press.
June 28th.
All right. You know, I thought that the Trimet board was going to do something different for a change and actually go outside the cronyism. You know, there all these international searches, the last 3 now, they all end up with the guy who's already there. So they check the world, and it just so happens the guy that's already there, who's been trained by the guy who was there before him, will be the new. It's such. I mean, they just. Yeah, so he's the general manager. Yeah, well, I'm sure he's just as good as anybody. So it's no big deal to me because it doesn't matter who's there. I mean, he's one hack is as good as another to me. So who gives a shit? But I mean, why do they pretend they're fucking searching the world? Why do they keep doing that? Why don't you just say we're going to hire the guy that's been trained by the guy? We're going to follow the same procedure we've been following for the last 3 general managers. We're going to hire the guy that was trained by the guy. Instead, they go through this rigmarole of pretending they're going to do something. It's just laughable. It's just laughable. All right, well, so we get Sam. Big deal. I don't care.
And July 1st. So please look at the Express Line post yesterday about this class. It tells you all you need to know to sign up. The next group to take the class will be our union employees, although some of our represented employees have already taken the class last October. So look for more information to be coming out no later than August. Over the next 6 months, we are conducting research on externally funded fare subsidy models in the transit industry. We will be looking at other agencies to see what their fare programs look like, and we're going to explore fare types, fare costs, ridership, and demographics, our external funding strategies. We're going to look at our discounted programs, our partnership models, and much more. So by the end of the year, the project work group will report the research findings back to our Transit Equity Advisory Committee. John Gardner's team is leading this effort, so we will ask them to join us at a future town hall to go over all the results of the research with all of you. The next item I wanted to bring forward to you is...
Okay, Sammy, baby! You got the job, Sammy, baby. How much? 400 grand, 500 grand? What is Sammy going to get? How much, man? How much is Sammy going to pull in? He's very valuable. Look at how good he is. He's great. He's got the personality of a wet blanket.
Employee survey. In my opinion, one of the best skills that a good leader should have is to be an excellent listener. And now is the time for all of our leaders of Trimet to exercise those listening skills. The Your Week Voice Employee Survey is coming your way next week. You will receive an email with a link to the survey on June 14th. We need your feedback, your honesty, and your participation so that we can continue to make changes for the betterment of our agency. Due to the past results of this survey, we reinstated our learning and development program that's now called E3. We've made some amazing strides in pay equity, and we focused our efforts on employee recognition programs and events. There's always so much more to do as we continue to improve our organization. We need to hear from you, though. We need to hear from you.
Sammy number one. Sammy number one. Sammy number one. Sammy number one.
So when you do receive this link, please take a moment and respond to the survey. Really important for us to hear your points of views. It is completely confidential, and we want you to feel comfortable so that you can be straightforward and honest. If you are a non-exempt employee, we will pay you for 20 minutes of your time to provide the feedback. So really want to thank you in advance for sharing your thoughts, and I look forward to the continuing conversation about our survey.
You know what this means, it means no change. Nothing's going to change. That's what it means. Nothing changes. Which we already knew anyway. Nothing was going to change. But, you know, they're always consistently disappointing at Trimet. They talk the talk, but they don't walk any walks. It's all, they're obviously bullshitters. They're obviously a bullshit lying organization. It's like, no, it's obvious to see. It's almost as obvious as Trump, for example.
Our next item here is really important to all of us as we look at working with the city of Portland, PBOT, and other areas to clean up downtown Portland. Trimet will be partnering with Solve over the next few months to focus on cleaning up downtown Portland. The downtown has suffered during the pandemic. All of you are aware, you've seen the pictures. I want Trimet to join the citywide efforts and do our part to help clean it up. This will be very important as we hope to continue to draw back riders onto the system in the coming months and years. We should have volunteer dates in July, August, and September very soon. I know this Saturday I'll be part of a group that's going to be going out to Gateway, and we're going to be doing some cleaning up at that location as well. We also want these events to be family friendly. So, you know, I hope that you can sign up with your family members and you know, bring your children to volunteer. These are all volunteer events. These will be Trimet volunteer events, and we're going to be just be on the lookout for more information that will be coming to you here very soon. So with that will be my last update. I'm going to ask Sarah if you could please share the latest COVID news with our employees.
Okay, COVID-19, come on, give me COVID-19.
Very good news for us.
Very good news. We're going to open up everything. Everything's, look at it. Yeah, he's happy. Look at him. I'm the general manager.
Sarah, we can't hear you.
Sammy's achieved his dream job, general manager of a useless public transportation agency. Keep that pork barrel funded, Sammy.
The old double mute thing.
T. Sandberg, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, we can always have Kim Sewell give her update and come back to Sarah as she figures out the audio.
Figure out the audio, Sarah.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Sam, if you'd like me to do my GM recruitment update, I'm ready to go.
Oh, listen to this. This is funny. Okay, so we already know. This is great. We already know that was a fake. Okay, the whole search thing was another fake out. 3 in a row. Let's see what she says.
And thanks, Kim. So, Sarah, we'll be back to you in a moment. So we're going to go to Kim. She's going to give us an update on the general manager hiring process. Kim?
Thank you, Sam. I want to go through some key events that have happened and will happen next week with regard to the GM recruitment.
What a bunch of baloney.
And I know I've been providing updates as we go along, so forgive me if some of this is old news, but I will remind you that the week of May 24th, the board search committee interviewed a group of 7 semifinalists. I guess is
6 people. Trimet board wasted the time of 6 people. Okay, I'm sure this already decided, but they had to go through the motion. This is the 3rd time they've done the exact same thing.
The best way to say it. And those 7 semifinalists were comprised of a diverse group of 4 individuals that were African American, 1 that was Asian, 1 Caucasian, and 1 Latino. I
object. I'm going to repeat this. I'm not a Republican. Okay, people that know me know that I'm not. I object to that being the criteria. I object to the fact that you're searching specifically for people in minority groups versus qualified applicants. I object. Okay, this is not how things are supposed to work. You're supposed to be getting the best qualified people.
Was also comprised of a group of 4 female candidates and 3 male candidates. Following that initial set of interviews, the board search committee narrowed that group to the 3 finalists. And those 3 finalists were interviewed this Monday by the full board and by the community panel. Again, if you recall, one of the tasks of the board search committee was to create a community panel that was comprised of 12 members of key stakeholders that use our services.
Yeah, so they wasted all their time too. Everybody's time was wasted in all of this. I hope you feel like fools. I didn't think they would have the nerve to do it again. I really didn't, but they did. But then I did qualify that by saying they do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter what we, the public, think, because they don't care. Okay, nobody really knows that they've done this 3 times in a row except me, because nobody follows this history like me. So nobody even connects the dots there. And there'll be no mainstream media coverage because there's no such thing as actual news coverage anymore. It's all, the media is now nothing but a puppet media for the establishment.
Represent the community as a whole. The community panel and the board asked a series of questions that were comprised based on the feedback that we received from both employees and the community. And following that set of interviews on Monday, the full board is going to meet the following Monday, which will be June 14th, to narrow that down to our successful GM candidate. And then on Wednesday, there will be a special board session where that individual will be announced and shared with the community, and then the board president will be authorized to negotiate an employment contract with that individual. So that is the latest and greatest. We are in the final stretch, and we should have an announcement next week.
So Kim, that's great news. Thanks for the update, and we'll here in a moment we'll probably open it up. Let's go back to Sarah and see if she's available.
I think I figured it out.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. So, Sam, before we dive into MASS, which I know is on everyone's minds, I had promised to provide you all an update about our on-site vaccination clinics. So our last vaccination clinic was June 5th, and the whole process was a success. We vaccinated during our first week of clinics. We vaccinated a total of 459 employees and 86 contractors and dependents.
I told you how I feel about this. I want 1 year of human testing before I get mine. I'm not going with the herd, okay? You know, December will be 1 year, and we'll look back and see, okay, what happened? I know people have gotten extremely ill in the hospital, and it doesn't look like they're ever going to get out. I only know one person that had that happen. I've read the stories. There have been deaths. You know, like 3,000 people have died from the vaccine out of millions. I mean, statistically, it's insignificant, so we don't have to think about it, you know. I don't trust the pharma. I don't trust Big Pharma as far as I can tell. I don't trust anything about them. Then there's the issue of them not sharing the technology with the third world, which is enough right there to make me not get it because, you know, I'm better than you people in the third world. I'll live and you die. Nah, I don't think so. I think we should all go down together.
The second round of clinics, we're still finalizing numbers, but we vaccinated over 600 employees, contractors, and dependents. So great work all around. Now let's talk about masks. Governor Brown announced last Friday that once 70% of Oregonians 18 and older have at least one shot of COVID-19 vaccines, most county and individual health and safety restrictions will lift. The state will not require masks and face coverings in almost all settings, with some exceptions following federal guidance. This includes public transit.
See, that's discrimination right there. They're discriminating against people that ride public. Why is public transportation excluded from the demasking order? Why do these group of citizens don't get the same courtesy as all the other citizens? This is discriminatory.
Because the same mask and social distancing rules will apply for all individuals, vaccinated or unvaccinated, vaccine verification will no longer be necessary. As of today, 67.2% of Oregonians 18 and older have had at least one shot.
As of today, 67.2% of sheeple have complied with their master's orders. Bow down before your master, folks. You bow down and we'll let you go back to your former life, but bow down.
Only 93,444 shots to go. The governor expects Oregon to meet the 70% mark by the end of June. It will still be strongly recommended that unvaccinated individuals and other vulnerable individuals continue to wear masks and practice other health and safety measures to stay safe from COVID-19. And I wanted to share with you guys her statement that I think that is important to hear. She said, "This has really become a tale of two pandemics. If you are vaccinated, then you're safe. You can carry on safely without wearing a mask and social distancing."
This is a tale of two pandemics. You fucking lying goddamn. Stop with this shit, you stupid fuck. I'm sick of this shit. How come not everybody's dead that went to the Trump rallies? Okay, they're not all dead. Hello? How come they're not all dead? In Texas, they got rid of the mask months ago. They're not all dead. Hello? Who knows if they're even vaccinated over there?
If you are not vaccinated, this virus still poses a very
we're going to die, yeah.
But with the governor's announcement, we know masks for transit are here to stay for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's discriminatory, and I'm just, I wouldn't take this shit, man. I'm not wearing my mask. I'll throw the mask in the face of whoever's around.
Sure. Where other places in your day-to-day, everyday living, you may not have to be required to wear a mask, but because we have the federal guidance, which is that CDC mask order and the TSA security directive.
Yeah, all you goddamn technocrats working together to oppress the population, making us bow down before your masters.
Employees and passengers on Trimet buses and MAX trains and on transportation hubs are going to be required to wear masks for the foreseeable future. However, I do have some good news. After numerous talks with TSA and OHA, we have finally been able to modify our face covering policy. We are finalizing the policy, and if everything goes as planned, it should be effective tomorrow. We are updating our face covering policy with these changes, a summary of these changes. So first, we're going to provide a definition of transportation hub. And this is so it...
They're going to provide a definition of transportation hub. Right? They're going to provide a definition of transportation hub. Where is the... here.
Consistent with the federal mandates, so when Oregon shifts their guidance, will still be consistent with the CDC mask order and TSA security directive. Next, no face coverings when the sole occupant in an NRV and when that NRV is not at a transportation hub. No face coverings
when you know an NRV is, right? That's a supervisory vehicle. What a bunch of shit this is. I mean, if the fucking emergency order is lifted, it's got to be lifted for everybody.
A bus on break with doors closed.
Oh, Jesus.
And again, not at a transportation hub. No face covering when outside and not on Trimet property and not, again, on a transportation hub. And then lastly, no face covering when deadheading and with no passengers on board. So again, I'm glad that we're able to provide some relief on the face coverings. And once Oregon hits the 70% vaccination rate and or TSA and CDC update their orders, we'll look to be updating our SOP again.
Oh, hail your masters. Bow down before your masters, everybody. Bow down.
And with that, I'll hand it back over to you.
That's great news. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think, Dan, we'll just kind of navigate over to you to see if if employees have questions for Kim, myself, Sarah, or Marla with safety and security. So I'll turn it over to you.
Great. We did have one question that came in. This is probably for Sarah. It's a question about the 3-foot distancing on buses. What is going to happen to that after the state, quote unquote, reopens and we hit our 70%?
That's a great question, and I wish I knew the answer to that. The governor has alluded that all of the capacity restrictions are going to be lifted once we hit that 70% mark. However, there's been tendencies when she says something that, you know, other things remain as far as that 3 feet of distancing goes. Now, please know that we've been in contact with OHA and with the governor's office to stress that we have issues with our capacity limits if the 3 feet of social distancing, if she keeps that 3 feet of social distancing. So we anticipate there being a change at the end of the month, but I can't guarantee it.
Okay, a couple of more questions for you. And I think this may, they may go away once you describe or get into the what is a transportation hub, but people are really interested in after the 70%, can they stop wearing masks in an office setting? So specifically people are asking about Trimet buildings like Harrison Square, Center Street, where the offices are, Ruby, where the offices are, etc.
Yeah, and this gets into what is a transportation hub, and there's some...
What is a transportation hub?
You know,
what is it?
Direction
we don't know. We have to figure it out.
FTA.
We have to figure out what a transportation hub is, everybody. Let's get a contractor, a private contractor, give him about $700,000, and he'll figure out what a transportation hub is. Okay, great. Problem solved.
About what a transportation hub is. And so without getting, you know, in too much detail, we know that Harrison Square and the PSO office are not transportation hubs. We'll be looking at the other facilities that we have, again, to verify whether or not they meet that definition of a transportation hub. I believe it's the intent that once we hit the 70%,
we have to figure it out. What's a transportation hub? We don't know.
Restrictions are lifted for mass. Those facilities that are not transportation hubs will not be required to wear a mask.
We don't know what it is. We have to figure it out. Help.
Okay, so it sounds like further definition is coming. So definitely just getting more questions about
Figure it out. Help us.
And offices, etc. So maybe as you're defining things, that's also something that you could address. And then, does the CDC TSA directive require us to continue providing masks and hand sanitizer on board our vehicles?
No, they don't. It's recommended that we provide hand sanitizer on our buses and that we provide masks at different facilities, but it is not required. I do want to let you guys know too, with my discussions with TSA, is that they gave the impression that the TSA order and TSA security directive and CDC order should be updated soon. And word on the street is that you won't have to wear a mask when you're outside on, a transportation hub or transportation facility. So we've been told that update is supposed to happen any day, and that was told to us just before Memorial Day. So we're expecting it any day, and again, as soon as that happens, we'll be looking at, again, how we can adjust our SOP to relax some of our mask requirements.
Great. And so is there a particular place that people should go to find these updates? Will you be sending out emails to all employees, or how will you be communicating this? It sounds like maybe a rush of changes may happen in a relatively short period of time.
Well, we've been communicating. Sam sends his weekly COVID-19 update email, and I encourage you all to read that. A lot of times these announcements are included in that. I've been sending emails to managers and directors and leadership about this as well. Check your express line stories, and then your manager should be aware of it as well.
Great, and I assume that anything that impacts operators directly, transportation will probably be sending out an operator notice as well. Okay, super. Well, at that point, we don't have any other questions.
Oh, we're done with it. Sammy, all hail Sammy, the new general manager. All hail Sammy.
I was trying to find my mute button as well.
Attaboy, Sammy.
I wanted to just say
nice big raise for you, Sammy, huh?
Sarah, thank you for all your efforts. The advanced planning team, the leadership team. Thank you, Marla, with your assistance here with everything that's going on as well. Just want to also thank Kim and JC and Kim Engel. I know all of you have been working really hard with the GM recruitment, and we're excited about next week, and hopefully we'll have our next GM identified. Just want to close by saying to all of you, our next town hall is next Thursday. Well, it's Thursday, June 24th at 10 a.m.
All right, we're done with this. Okay, well, that's it. Was there anything interesting there? Not really. It was all pretty boring. All right, on to the calls, man. That's enough for me. I'm done. How long did this go on? A little under an hour. Over and out.